come to the front, come and visit me, but I'm not going to do that to you, so I'm not excited about doing this, just so you know. I thought it would get better, but it's not getting better. Anyway, I've gone to see Anita Archer for the past few years in the summer, just a 1, 2, or 3 day workshop. And I really like her. I think she's interesting. I think she's amusing to me. I'm going to just show a short little video to begin with about what she thinks about student engagement, student participation. And so it's not very long. I really like her, but not everybody does.
That if we look at the big umbrella of explicit instruction, one of the most critical parts is active engagement. All instruction has to be interactive. I say something, you say something, I say something, you say something, I write something, you write something, I do something, you do something, I say something, you say something. We have more learning. Management problems certainly are significantly reduced, and there's a much more positive climate for the students and for us. Retrieve, respond, retain. Retrieve, respond, retain. Everybody. Retrieve, respond, retain. Rehearsal is absolutely critical in learning. You have to have rehearsal if you're going to have retention again. If our goal is to improve the intensity of instruction, thus the outcomes from our students. And we have a great deal of research on excellent practices in terms of active participation. And that is what this project, Getting Them All Engaged, is meant to convey to staff members. Next sound, and the word is X. Learning is not a spectator sport. Now, I know that if you're a secondary teacher, you have some kids who come to class who've already made the decision, I'm not going to participate. But we do know that participation is so related to learning. It has to be all of our goals, whether it is a PE class, a music class, a math class, a reading class, social studies, or science. You know, the topic here is so critical to the welfare of our children, the education of our children, and for the whole climate in our school. And we really hope that these serve as one of the tools that you're using to promote active participation, to get everybody engaged, not just a few, but everyone.
So she has her own way of speaking, and some people find she's very dry, but I find that she's kind of amusing. I like the way that she words things. For example, she'll say, is it possible that there are times when your students have lack of rivet? I'm like, yeah, everybody say that. And so she'll say a lot of the things with, is it possible that, perhaps. And so I've used that with my kids because it's hard for them to argue that if you say, is it possible that perhaps you spent a little more time studying last night that you might have done better on the quiz. And so instead of saying no, they have to say, well, it's possible, but you know, it's not going to happen. So I can get a little less pushback that way than if I just say, if you do this, then this would happen. So I preface a lot of my things that I say with, is it possible that perhaps? Anyway, so one of her ideas for elementary kids more than high school kids is to get the attention of them. They'll say, okay, and I want you guys to do this, look smart. Right now, I want you to look smart. What are you going to do if you look really smart? Oh, good job, Erin. Erin sat up straight. What else would you do if you're going to look very smart? Let me see you look smart. Okay, sitting up. Good job, Lori. Yes. I said, oh, nice job, nice job. What else? Are your eyes going to be on me? Or are they going to be on each other? On me? What are your mouth going to do? What is your mouth going to do? What are your mouth going to do? Okay, is it going to be talking to your neighbor? Is it going to be quiet? Are your ears going to be listening to me? Are going to be, so look smart, look very smart. So maybe if they're going to look smart, then you're going to feel a little bit smarter, and so then you're going to be a little bit more willing to participate. Doesn't work as well with high school kids, but you know, a lot of those things happen like that. So what does engagement look like? And you guys we've had active participation in workshops for years. So you know, think, pair, share. And that's what I want you to do with Partner right now. Let's go with you two, and then Lori you guys can work, and then side by side, maybe you three could go, and maybe you three could go, and you three could go together. I want you to talk about, what does engagement look like? If your kids are engaged, what does it look like?
But they're supposed to be.
It's not.
See, I was just thinking that there were times when I'm there, that's the first thing to think about, yeah. I always say
The
that.
teacher walks around and knows that we're talking about.
I want to know you're talking about. I don't believe
Instead
you
of
much.
saying, yeah, are engaged.
Good one, staying on topic.
Doing the same thing.
Working together on the same
What was that? We had in the sheet,
Oh, I know.
All right, so an idea that Anita Archer has is, as you do that in partners, I walk around and I'm writing down, this is what you said, this is what you said. And if I had one of those overheads, I could just lay this under, then it would be on here, but I don't. So I'll just write it on the board. I heard Lori say that they're doing what they're supposed to do. A lot of you had ideas along the same lines. And this is why you guys should still teach handwriting in elementary, because I do that on purpose a lot.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's very nice.
No, so they can read my notes, because they'll say, I can't read handwriting. You have to print it.
Oh,
yeah, I
I can't read cursive.
Yeah, I can't read cursive. On task, I heard Jody say they're on task, and several of you did, doing what they're supposed to be doing, so it's kind of the same thing. I heard Stu say that. Make sure that they're on, Brian said, they're on the same task, or doing what they're supposed to do. They're all working on the same thing, on the same, I don't know, thing. That wasn't very good. But, so if you're asking them to think, pair, share, is it possible that during prom season they might be talking about the dress that they're going to buy, and if we have our lids open that they're going to be looking at the dress that they're going to buy. So if I'm walking around writing it down and they know I'm going to put it on the board and I'm going to put their name next to it, then it's possible that they might have a little more engagement than if we didn't do that.
So Vicki, would you put the other things they're talking about too? Like,
No.
Good
question.
I didn't know if you would do that in high school.
Could we? Yeah, but it would probably encourage other people to do it more as well. So here's what the experts say that engagement looks like, and I'm sure you guys came up with most of those same things. Just different wording. These also tie in with some of the other things we're going to talk about quickly today. The only one I want to point out with, and I was talking to Jim about this last Friday when we were talking with Dr. Nunley, is when you ask questions, if your kids aren't able to ask questions, then there's a loss of comprehension. So if I'm not able to even formulate a question, that means I've lost it a long time ago. And that used to happen to me in math, and I couldn't even ask the question because I felt so stupid even trying to ask a question because I got lost so long ago that I'm lost, so I'm not even going to attempt to ask a question there. All right, so these 5 pillars, I don't know, things I have to do with engagement. This is what Anita Archer says. Active participation, and we do a lot of that. I think we have a lot of ideas, and we'll go through, like some more of those today. Think, pair, share, or sit up straight. Those self-efficacy, growth mindset, which I kind of get excited about. Teacher-student relationship quality and teacher expectations. I have a short little thing on each of those, except for teacher expectations. And we talked a bit about that on Friday, and you've learned about it throughout the years. But it also means this, that if I'm going to ask Jody a question, and I think she's going to know the answer, but she has a little bit of trouble, and I lead her to it because I know she's going to get there. I do the same thing with Lori, who I don't think is going to get there quite as fast, but I still lead her to it instead of just saying, it's this, because I don't think she's ever going to get there. Sometimes that backfires. They say don't ask the low expectation kids, all the easy answered questions, and the high expectation kids. And, you know, I think it's a tricky thing because you don't want to embarrass somebody. I have one of my own kids, and I use my own kids a lot as examples, and one of them doesn't like it, one doesn't know, two don't care. But he wasn't, you know, the most stellar Spanish student that I had, and so I would ask him easier questions, and home would say, "Why do you ask me all the hard questions?"
Yeah.
Well, so I hope that not everybody can see this because I don't want him to know that, Randy. All right, self-efficacy then is our perceived probability of success. All right, agree or disagree? Is it possible, or do you think that if we've already had success in an area, that we would be more likely to do that again? Okay. I think everybody
I
agrees.
think this is a group share.
Why might that be? Renee?
Oh, I'm sorry.
She wasn't paying attention.
We were
Oh.
talking
I
about
was
something else.
scolding her.
And that brings up a good point, because Anita Archer, and I didn't notice that, she says don't call on inattentive students, which I like to
I
do
love
because
to
you
do
want to
that.
bring them back in, but she says don't do it because it just embarrasses them. They're not paying attention. They don't know the answer, so it gets everybody else off task as well. You know, just, you know, bring them back to attention another way. Sometimes I might say, okay, you guys, right now, on a scale of 1 to 5, I just want you to evaluate your attention. Are you at a 1 or at a 5? And if they give them a 5, I'm like, why don't you reevaluate? Because I'm not really sure that you're at a 5. But, so don't call on inattentive students. But my question was, why do you agree with that? That if you already have success, that you'd be more likely to try it again.
Because you're confident.
Okay, you're confident. If you're not confident, you don't want to try it. I don't want to golf. I don't hit the ball, so I haven't had success. I don't want to do it again. It's not fun. We, as teachers, can help develop that self-efficacy, that idea that you can do it, you know, through these things is her idea. And I'm not saying, I wish that when I go to these things, I always think, okay, this is going to work on 100% of the kids, and everybody's going to be, you know, riveted, and it's going to increase everybody's self-efficacy, and it doesn't work like that. I mean, hopefully we're going to get better. We're going to reach more kids, we're going to raise some confidence levels, but, you know, 100% probably not going to get there. Anyway, so, okay, so first of all on this slide, what I would do in class if I did something like this, I said, okay, I've made a mistake. Now you get a Jolly Rancher if you find my mistake, because in English we're editing. So you can see that I've misspelled a word, and I didn't want to download again and edit it, so I just left it and said, oh, I'll just do this. So our success begets success. If you've already been successful in the past, then they'll try it again. If you haven't, most likely you're not going to. So we want to ensure our kids are successful as much as we can. I mean, we're not magic people. Observational learning means that you watch me do it, and you see that I do it successfully, or you watch a partner do it, and your partner does it successfully. But that doesn't mean one time. So at the beginning, when she said, I do it, we do it, you do it, what she really says later is, I do it, I'm the teacher, I do it, I do it, I do it, I do it, I do it. Then we do it a couple times, and then you do it. Because you need to see me do it successfully quite a few times before you build your confidence and able to do that. And the last one is social persuasion. We as teachers, have so much power here. I mean, not 100% power, obviously, but to believe, if I believe that you can do it, and I can get you to believe that you can do it, you're more likely to believe it yourself. If I really down deep believe you can't do it, then even though you don't say it, it comes out some way or another. And so, if I can say, for example, I had a student this year who we worked on writing for the writing assessment, well, all year, and she didn't make the proficient level, but she was so close. And for her, I thought that was a success. I was like, you didn't make it when I was going over the things with them, but this is so exciting because look how close you are. Look how close you are. And at the beginning of the year, you were not there. And so to believe that, with more practice, you are going to get there. I believe you can do it. And if we can get our kids to help each other in that way too, that'll be awesome. So you guys tell me how to do that. All right. mindset is just so exciting to me because I believe that if we could all get our kids to buy into this idea that the mindset is and your effort is what it takes to have achievement, I think it would change everything. Anyway, so what people believe about personal attributes such as personality, competence, and intelligence in different areas. So there's two ways, fixed mindset or growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, I was born with this ability, or I wasn't born with this ability, and nothing I do is going to change that. All right? So I wasn't born with the ability to draw, and still I cannot draw. But if I practiced, I think I could get better. That would be a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, I can't draw. I'm never going to be able to draw. I'm not even going to try. All right? And I would have had that mindset about art in particular. I might have different mindsets about different things. But after I read the mindset book, I was like, I think I could learn to draw. I'm not going to take the time to learn to draw, but I think I could. I don't think that it's just something that you're born with. Same way with Spanish or with writing or in sports. If you put effort into it, then you're going to get better. And I think probably most of us believe, yeah, obviously, but we have kids who don't believe that. I have a son who's very good at things, but he has a fixed mindset. It's just as dangerous because Carter, things come easy to him. School comes easy to him. Athletics generally, come easy to him. He's a little guy, but if something comes up that's hard, if he doesn't understand, like maybe they threw a little bit of algebra in his math, and he's like, "This is so stupid, I don't get it." And then he gives up and shuts down. It's the same thing. It's a fixed mindset. So it's not necessarily our low kids, but it's when you believe that, okay, either I get it or I don't get it. It doesn't matter what my effort is. And if I have a growth mindset, I'm like, yeah, this is hard, but I can do it if I put my mind to it. And so I do kind of get excited about that. I have some books if you guys want to see them. There's a program called Brainology that's for school. It's kind of expensive, so we don't have that. Anyway, so our feedback can help alter the mindset of the kids. A fixed mindset then would be when we're telling the kids, we see something they wrote or do, and we appraise their ability. You must be really smart at these problems. You're so fast. Or even if we say you're so pretty, that doesn't mean anything. That's just an ability. That's nothing they worked at. It's not effort that we're praising them for. We're just appraising them for an ability. And so that leads to a fixed mindset. Whereas if we said, you must have worked really hard at this, or I see that you didn't give up. I'm so proud of the way that you kept working even though it was really hard for you. To get them to know that it's really an effort thing. Perhaps if you gave me as much effort as you give your wrestling coach, you might improve. Our teacher-student relationship quality, kind of common sense there. But what she says is that for every one directive that you give, that's negative in a way, you need to give 3 positive directives. And so you've probably heard that rule before. If I say, well, this is a great introduction. I really like this verb here, but could you maybe change this thesis statement? It's not quite there. And then another positive. That takes a lot of work, at least for me it takes a lot of work. But to increase that 3 to 1 positive directive increases your student relationship quality. Do you think that would increase engagement? Agree or disagree? What do you think? Agree, disagree? Everybody agrees either? Do you think it's going to be 100% effective? No. That's not proof. Disagree. All right. And finally, our active participation, which we have, had many workshops on in the last few years. One of the things that she does is this, to elicit many responses. Oral responses, like when we talk, raise hands. But she says that if you're going to ask for volunteers, the only time you should really call on volunteers is if it's a personal response. So if I'm saying, Have you ever had an experience where you had to do something you didn't like to do? And you raise your hand and then I might say, Corey, tell me about it. Instead of, if it's factual information you can find in the text, then don't ask for volunteers. You guys know about the popsicle sticks or the random calling on the iPads or those kinds of things, cards. But she also says one way to do that are choral responses, where everybody answers the question if it's short. For example, if I ask you a question, and then this works really well with my reading kids who are low-level readers, and I'll say, okay, this is think time, and give 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds is the average. If it's an easier question, if it requires more thought, you have to give more thought, but it still needs to be one answer. So everybody can say the same thing, okay, think time. Is this an example of fixed mindset or growth mindset? All right? If I work really hard, I know I will improve. Is that fixed mindset or growth mindset? Everyone? Growth mindset, okay? So you're answering all together. If we have a vocabulary list of words, let's say, I might say, what is it if you are trying to convince someone of something, and persuasion was one of our words. Then I might say think time, everyone, and then they would look through the word and then hopefully say persuasion. Now, Julie is a rebel kid, and so, because she's sitting in the back, and so she says, no, this is stupid, I'm not going to do this. So she doesn't answer, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, we have to have everybody participate. Is this our growth mindset or fixed mindset? Everybody, and if Julie still doesn't participate, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Everybody has to participate. And so we do it again until either she just does it on her own or Kayla says, just say it, Julie, so we can go on and get everybody at least to pay attention, even though, because sometimes we think, oh, that's such an easy question, I'm not going to say anything. Or, everybody else said it already anyway, so I don't need to. Another idea is that when you have that whip around, pass around, where everybody's going to give a real quick answer, and then you have somebody who's always going to pass. Rather than saying, okay, I say, okay, I'm going to come back to you. You give me the best answer in the classroom, and you're going to tell me why that's the best answer, all right? So you go through, and then she says the same thing. I'm going to give you the same thing, but you can't say the same thing that Lori says. You have to come up with a different answer. So then eventually, hopefully, Lori's not going to pass anymore. She's going to say, okay, I may as well just say it the first time so that I don't have to think and listen to everybody else, even though we want them to listen to everybody else to be done. So instead of just giving them the pass and saying, okay, whatever, to make them do that. Written responses, and the reason why she says elicit many responses from students is that if I stand up here and I just have input, see you tomorrow, I don't get any response from you, so you're going to more than likely check out anyway. But if I have input, question, response, input, question, response, then I'm getting you involved because we have to have rehearsal of that information in order to retain it. Because if I'm just, blah, 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 bye, then, the retention isn't very high. All right. Our written responses might be writing tasks, and so might be short. In fact, immediate feedback is really important. So if we're writing 3 5-page papers, that immediate feedback isn't nearly as easy as if I say, okay, I need a paragraph. Shorter responses more often with immediate feedback. Because if I'm doing a science equation or something and I make a mistake right here and you catch it right where I make the mistake, that would be awesome. Rather than, we're not always going to do that, obviously, but the whiteboards, some of you probably already have these. These are really easy. For example, if I say conjugate tenere in the O form, everybody can hold them up and wipe them off really easy. And I can also look at Stu and I don't know one. I can just look there. And the final one, acting out. There are a couple of ways to do that. You can have corners of the room be different ideas. Or I might just say something like, thumbs up, thumbs down. Or if I'm doing vocabulary, might say, okay, our word is melancholy. Show me melancholy. Oh, good job, Julie. Nice job. Lori, that's not melancholy. That's ecstatic. Or in Spanish, same way, triste, same thing, means sad. So show me that. Or show me, if it's a verb, show me saltar, which means to jump. Or siéntate, or, actions like that. Smiley faces, things like that. So, do you guys have, I think we're done, but do you, except for my thank you for participating slide? But does anybody else have anything they want to mention that's worked really well for active participation for them, or student engagement, or?
I just mentioned something that I think is important, is they have the right to say, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
I mean, I don't know, or where are you lost? Well, if I don't know, okay, let's start out and go back, okay? You say, I don't know, I can't formulate a question, okay, let's start here. We'll go step by step. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I think the I don't know thing is, I tell them, if you don't know the answer, just say I don't know, and we'll get it.
I think you're right. All right,
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Stay safe.